Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Sarah Vantine here with Ted Ings. Today we have the Volie panel. And Ted, we're going to be unpacking, are your BDC agents actually asking for the appointment?
Sarah, that's a great question. We're so humbled to welcome back Volie, the number one BDC engine. Liza Martenson is here. I can't help but notice our great friend on the West Coast, Tully Williams at the Nilo Company, is with us. Liza and Tully, welcome. And Liza, you've brought some friends and colleagues.
I did, yeah, thank you. I brought Haley Rothbauer with me. She's kind of my right hand at Volie. She and I both lead the customer success team at Volie. This is her first fixed ops roundtable experience. So thank you for bringing us both on. And then we also brought Rob Grant with us. Rob, do you want to introduce yourself quick?
Yeah, I'm Rob Grant. I am the Fixed Ops BDC Director for the Cavender Auto Group based out of San Antonio.
All right. Welcome, Haley, and welcome, Rob. So grateful to have you with us. And Sarah, this is going to be a great discussion.
It is, and to kick things off, want to come to Liza to set the stage for our conversations today, because I think the title speaks for itself. Liza, are your BDC agents actually asking for the appointment? So this, I understand, is one of the most under-tracked coaching KPIs in the dealerships. Can you explain that a little bit more to our audience today?
Yeah, I would say in a nutshell, we find in many phone calls, customers leave the call with information. Maybe their questions have been answered. They feel like they got what they needed after they spoke with a rep, but we don't leave with an appointment. So this metric, what we're trying to talk about today is qualifying between all of your calls, the real opportunities for an appointment versus the calls that may not be able to result in an appointment, taking those where there is an opportunity and making sure that you're getting all of the juice that you can out of those opportunities.
Absolutely. Well, Ted, this is an exciting conversation, and we've got some very special guests to really hone in on this. Tully, when you're thinking about this important metric, the Nilo Company has an incredible BDC team. What is most important when it comes to inbound and outbound communications from your perspective when it comes to the appointment question?
I think it starts with a pay plan. Our pay plan is based on, just like my hours forecast, I have an appointment forecast for all of our reps. And, they need to make 40 appointments a day in order to make the minimum amount. And then if they make 110, 120, they get extra pay. But our goal is going to be is that, we got to train them to that. We got to get them enthusiastic about asking for those appointments. Now, inbound calls, those are a no-brainer, right? If you're not getting appointments on the inbounds, we have a serious problem because they're calling in to ask for one. And their goals, the reason we have a BDC is because service writers decide not to answer the phones. So our goal is going to be is that we want them to come in and make those appointments. But here's the winner is the outbound calls, right? And we're calling people out and we talk to them. And that's where we have made our biggest success has been making outbound calls. When you look at outbound calls, when we text people, and this is right from Volie, it's about 13% people answer, and 1/3 of those are opt-outs. Okay, that doesn't work. And then we do emails because that's fun. Who the hell looks at emails anymore? But, we have up to an 80% answer rate when we call people. 80%. Can you imagine if 80% answered emails and texts? We would just freak out. So we have a great responsibility when we call these people to have a direct message. And our response is, I don't think I need to email and text anybody anymore. Our BDC has turned out to be such success because we're asking good questions. We're calling when needed. We're not making unnecessary calls. So we get the great answer rate. And guess what happens? It motivates our great men and women in our BDC, to make appointments, which makes our stores successful. You know what makes a great success? Is are you measuring your retention at your store? The BDC is the key issue of us. And we're at 72%, which we're extremely proud of. The BDC is making that happen every day.
Rob, to follow up on this, this is the definition that we're talking about, both in inbound and outbound. We're talking about what are called qualified opportunities, and those are, as Tully pointed out, inbound and outbound communications, those can be a little bit different depending on the campaign or the origin of the phone call. But at the end of the day, there is a very important component of these where you ask for that appointment and try to get that business, to come into your store. What are you seeing at Cavender that has been successful for your team?
Yeah, well, since Tully took the outbound, I'll take the inbound side of it and talk about that. I think one of the things that Pulse has helped us do is we've found things that we couldn't have found before. So a lot of times they're not asking for the appointment if they get down to the end of it, but a lot of times too, they're transferring calls before they even get an opportunity to try and set the appointment, and that's not good, obviously. So Pulse has helped us identify those situations, and it allows us to coach them more effectively. So, in other words, I used to have to really hunt for things to coach on, but now Pulse sends it to my email, and it's quite easy to find.
That's incredible, Rob. And Haley, it sounds like with Pulse and what Volie is able to help dealerships identify, there's a formula and a success that y'all are tracking when it comes to this data. So what are you seeing within the ecosystem of Volie?
Yeah, I completely agree. Great comments, Tully and Rob there. My brain's actually kind of sticking on the outbound side too, so I'm team Tully right now. And I just think it's a huge area of opportunity when you actually get somebody on the phone for an outbound call, right? So a good healthy contact rate, we're talking somewhere around 30%. So if you call 100 people and only get 30 of them on the phone, let's not ask for the appointment on those 30 people you actually have on the phone. So just really honing in on what does that conversation entail? How are they trying to rebuttal or get off the phone with you? Are we asking more than once before we get up and in a different way? So all of those are opportunities that we can, highlight and coach to, and just make sure our team really has all of the references and tools to kind of guide those conversations.
Liza, this is so important. Take us through it. Why is this? Why does this matter? Why now? And again, what are some of the things that Volie? We're already hearing about Pulse in the conversation. We've got two amazing dealer groups here with centralized BDC. Why does all this matter so much?
From sitting next to reps when they're making these calls, I think we all live in it so much. We think about these appointments, we think about service, we think about vehicles, all day long. And you assume that your customers do too, and they don't. So why now, I think, is because we need to empower these teams that you have this education, you have all this information that your customers don't have. Every single time that you connect with someone, whether it's on an incoming call or, like Haley said, on those outbound dials where the customer does pick up, it's an opportunity to educate the customer. To Rob's point, sounds great, right? But if you don't have a tool that helps you efficiently, you can't listen to every single phone call. You can't sit next to every rep every single day. So the why now, I guess, is because your reps are on the phone with your customers right now. And you need a way of coaching them and empowering them that they have an opportunity to educate the customer. And if they're not asking the customer for the appointment, they're actually doing a disservice. Because now you have interrupted this person and you've given them information, but you've now given them a task, right? I'm putting it back on you. When you're ready, you give me a call. No, let's deal with this right now. So yeah, and I think it's just a really good time for Pulse. Everybody's talking about AI, but there's a lot of concern that I hear from our customers on AI replacing humans, AI talking to my customers and making up appointment times and prices and things that don't exist. So I think, our objective is to use AI for what it's good for, identifying opportunities, identifying holes and outliers, and then queuing them up to an expert, a human expert who knows what to do with that, and who can correct the behavior and then save the customer in real time, kind of thing.
Tully, you centralized the BDC a while back. You brought Volie in. We had a chance to spend time with Carl, who manages that group for you. I know it's done extremely well. Bring us up to speed on some of the things that are happening and some of the things that you're experiencing as well right now at the Nilo company.
Well, you know, I think the BDC is a tough gig. And, you know, what Carl has done is I call him a gentle giant, is that he's such a nice person, right? And when you look at our turnover rate, we don't have any, right? The core 11, 12 people that we've had is doing a fantastic job because, you know, here they do it. They talk to people all day. Now, you know, and sometimes, you know, people are just not very nice. And I think that when you have a successful BDC is that you have a successful team that helps. Potlucks, getting together, not stressed out. But success, if you're doing well, you get paid well. And I think that when you're setting up your BDC, is that one is that it has to be the right person. They have to enjoy talking to people or it won't work. This is not a job like I'm going to try this out. I was a Starbucks person, so I'm going to try a BDC job out. And, you know, it doesn't work that way, you know. And I think that when you look at it, it's a tough gig and making sure you have training. And this is where Pulse has helped us out tremendously. Is that when we bring new people in, and our goal is to bring people in that are working at a car dealership, not just a person that has just started to do it, right? And because they got to know the car business a little bit. They don't need to know a lot, but know a little. But then Pulse can help us fine tune that person because the problem we have with phones is that we don't listen to phone calls. We're not gonna. It's not gonna happen. And two is that we don't. It's like tech videos. We don't watch them either, right? And the goal is going to be is what are they telling our people, right? And Pulse can actually help us with that. So we can coach and mentor. And what I like to say, success. Thank you for doing an unbelievable job with Mrs. Smith. You know, think about that. You know, when you look at it, we call Barbara, she's a person that does all of our calls before the appointments. And this lovely lady here calls everybody. And people comment about her because it's just a nice person to talk to everybody. That makes your BDC successful. You know, if you know back in the good old days, you had the operator. Their whole goal was to get off the call in 3 seconds. You know, if they want to talk to us for an hour, please don't. But if they do, we're going to talk to you, and we want to be kind and considerate. And that's what the Nilo company is all about. Our core values start with human beings. I'm not an AI fan whatsoever. Thank you, Volie, for not turning into an AI agent. You know, I am not into that at all. Now, you know, is there things that AI can help us with? And that's a yes answer. And that's where the Pulse helps us with that. You know what the fun part is? I'm putting Pulse on the service writer calls. Okay, that's going to be exciting.
Wow. Okay. Like that. Rob, you mentioned also Pulse at Cavender Automotive Group. I know you're a people company. Bring us up to speed on what's happening there as well.
Oh, yeah. So actually, Tully just brought up a great point because one of the things that I've noticed since we've had Pulse is as we're finding things that need to be coached on, that call goes all the way through. So if we transfer it, the recording stays on and we hear what happens when it hits the service drive. And it's pretty common for me to send that to the service director and say, hey, I think maybe you have a coaching opportunity. I'm going to take care of my side, but you know, you may want to listen to this call. And that's been a big help. And I think putting it on the service drive to you know record what the advisors are saying is a great opportunity. You know, we're big on process. I know that Carl at Nilo is too. And I think one of the areas where we don't train enough is on the advisors and how they talk with customers on the phone. And I think Pulse has exposed this as an area of opportunity for the stores.
Can I pick up on that? What Rob is spot on. I think that, you know, when the BDC agent is designed to make an appointment. We give information, but they have to make an appointment. Liza started that when we first got this call. Correct answer. But the point of it is that we are in the people business. That's what our dealership said, and that's what our dealer says. And we have to be in the people business. We need to train our AI agents, not our AI, our personnel to be in the people business. And that's the reason why AI does not work, because they are not in the people business. They're in the lion business. And I think that when you look at our people like that, when you transfer to service advisors, we all these service advisors, she or he is the busiest person on the planet. But you know what? They need to slow down. And for us to be in the repeat referral business, we have to take time to be with every one of those. Overworking your staff will cause a fail in your BDC and also cause you fail in your service writers in the front drive.
Haley, it sounds like the folks on the call here today have a great respect for the people in the BDC, how important the BDC, how important the phone call is. In this day and age, it is still all about the phones, Haley, and it's all about the people. And Volley delivers on all those things.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to hear all the avenues you guys are utilizing it today. Another kind of hole or area that we wanted to bring up on this panel too, and I would love to hear both your feedbacks, Rob and Tully, are when an agent might set an appointment, but it's not a good appointment. It's a very soft appointment. They're throwing it out on the scheduler, but when you actually listen to that call or you have Pulse reading those calls, it really actually is identified as a missed opportunity there. The likelihood of that person actually showing up to, oh yeah, I'll just throw it on there next Wednesday or whatever it is very low, right? So even if they are asking and setting an appointment, if it's not strategic and how they're following up on that or really concrete in with the time and the services that they're offering. That's just another avenue that we're really excited that Pulse can highlight for your guys' teams. And I'd love to hear kind of your feedback on that front as well.
Tully, we'll come to you first.
Making bogus appointments does not work for nobody. I mean, I don't know how blunt I can be on that. Now, I understand people are wishy-washy, but here's the deal. Barbara, this lovely lady, calls everyone to verify they're coming in. We're going to catch a bad appointment. 2, the BDs, all of our service advisors every day, because X time does not give us the ability to look at if it's a real appointment or not, coming in or not, is that our service writers email the BDC every day about, hey, Mrs. Smith didn't show up on her appointment today, right? So that's a real number. So if we have a prone problem with a BDC agent making bogus appointments, they're trying to maximize their pay plan, I call that fraud, and that will stop instantaneously. Yeah. Now, Pulse can help us with that because, sometimes, I thought she wanted an appointment. We'll train for that. And, God bless every human. We understand that. So we'll train and fix that. We don't have that problem at the Needle Company. We have people that miss appointments, yes, but it's not a big number. And that's because the follow-up process that we have will ensure that doesn't happen. Having Barbara call every one of them, that's what she does. She calls, she makes God knows how many calls every day, just the loveliest lady on the planet. And then too, our service writers respond back to the BDC and say, hey, Mrs. Smith didn't, so we can do a follow-up call and find out why they didn't show up. Those things will show up with Pulse in the background. Listening to that, we can ensure that we're not making bogus appointments.
Rob, how about you over at Cavender?
Yeah, so I think that the opportunity there is in coaching how to make it more solid. I think especially on an outbound where they're just hoping to get something on the books. If it's not a solid appointment, then where's the opportunity to make it better, right? So when you're coaching, okay, you said this, but here's how we could have made it more solid, right? And I think that's the opportunity. In our BDC, all of our agents are doing both the appointment confirmation on the front end and on the missed appointment call on the back end. So they're having to call them anyway. And a lot of them we do find show up, but for whatever reason, it didn't clear next time or whatever the issue is. But I think, when you're finding that they're not setting a solid appointment, it's just a matter of, are they following our process? Are they using the script that we've put in front of them? If they're doing all that, it should be solid from the start.
I chime in with 2 thoughts on this as well. First being, I think if the rep is setting a solid appointment from the start, if they're directing the conversation, it allows you to control your schedule a little bit better too. Bring someone in earlier if you're offering the next availability. Maybe it's today, maybe it's tomorrow. You can control when those appointments are coming in a little bit better. Because now my second point, I think one thing that a missed opportunity to call out is when you don't have same day, next day availability. And that's something a rep in the BDC can't solve that problem by themselves, right? That's something that needs to be communicated back with the service manager at the store potentially. But that'll lose you that customer, right? If they need to come in, they're calling you, they need to get in today. If you can't get them in today, they're just going to call the next dealership, or they're going to call an independent, right? So controlling the appointment and controlling the timing of the appointment, I think, is twofold there, where it's two benefits.
Let me piggyback off of that. So if your capacity is full and you're pushing people out, you have a serious problem at your store. And I think that, oh, we're landlocked, or, Tully, you don't understand this and that. That doesn't work for us here. But I think that that's a great point, is that the BDC agent, we're in the people business and we need every appointment, and we're in the repeat and referral business. We're going to get that appointment in. And that's the reason why it's critical for the BDC agents to understand how those business work. So a lot of things that we do sometimes is that we have our agents now visit the stores and spend 1 or 2 days at the store a week. And that has really helped out the agents understanding how the service drive works. And, our Jag Land Rover store was the first person that wanted that. And now all of a sudden, this person that used to be behind a phone and we don't know what her name or his name was, is now part of the team at that store. And the relationship with the BDC and the relationship with those agents has doubled, tripled, quadrupled. And now they're like, oh, the BDC agents here, we're going to be busier today, right? Or we have low appointments today. BDC, can you call all these people for me? Now they're heroes. That's what the BDC needs to do for us every day, is how can we be a hero for that store? God bless Volie. God bless those BDC agents.
Incredible stuff. And, Liza and Haley, it's so exciting to hear the conversation just continuing to push forward about the importance of service BDC. It was something that still is near and dear to my heart. And again, this is the backbone of your operation, having effective scheduling practices, having effective call handling practices that enables your service advisors and your shop to really maximize the opportunities that you have coming into your door. And as Tully and Rob both echoed, this is all about retention and all about the hours.
Yep.
Well, Liza and Haley, before we go today, for our audience that wants to learn more, get this information, find out a little bit more about what's setting apart top performing dealerships versus their peers, and getting a lot more information about some of these metrics, what's the best first step to get started?
Sarah, we would encourage anyone to visit us at our website. It's just volie.com. It's www.volie.com. But we also will answer the phone for anyone who wants to reach out that way. We'd love to talk with anyone who is curious, who has questions, or who listens to this and agrees or disagrees or wants to add a comment to anything that we've talked about today. I'm going to give a phone number as well that people can call. It's 319-240-8917. You'll get in touch with our COO, and he's a chatty person anyways, so happy to talk. But yeah, any which way that they can get in touch with us. Obviously, we love solving problems and helping people. Like Tully said, it's a people business kind of thing. So first connection.
Well, Volie is the #1 BDC engine, an incredible resource for dealerships and for those listening here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. On behalf of Teddings, we have Tully Williams of the Nilo Company, Rob Grant of Cavender Automotive, Haley Rothbauer of Volie, and Liza Martenson. Thank you all for being part of this panel today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Everyone, stay tuned. We've got more exciting things coming up next.